This is the...
Sorry, I forgot to say, if you don't want to be on the recording, if you turn your camera off, that'd be great. Sorry, I completely forgot to say that. Sorry, Monica.
That's okay. So yeah, welcome to our 5th show and tell. If you made it this far, I hope you enjoyed the previous sessions. If you've missed any of them, I think Beth or Charlotte will just now post the link in the chat so you can rewatch them afterwards as well. And just for anyone that might have missed all the previous sessions, I'm just going to quickly introduce the team. We're currently a team of 4 with Aaron, Beth, and Charlotte, and today me and Charlotte are going to present you this show and tell. Second, Charlotte, can you just move the next slide? It's not switching on my side. Sorry, should work now. And yeah, if any of you haven't been here before, the aim for our project is to engage and understand the strengths and needs of communities in high-risk, low-resource places. And in the past few weeks, we've been doing research and interviews and speaking to community members, members of voluntary sector and public sector in 2 of those communities in Neath and Nelson. We got so many interesting insights from there, and we'd love to discuss some of them with you today. And they're going to be mainly focused around what inspires local action and support. So yeah, let's get into this discussion. Please feel free to interrupt us, or if you want to leave a comment in the chat, we'll go back to it after finishing the slides. For those of you that might have been here on the previous session last week, we touched upon and finished with some of the questions around how does community connectedness turn into hope and action, and what exactly empowers people to get involved to improve their local environment, and what could be the barriers to this. After the show and tell last week, we spent the past few days mapping out our insights and figuring out what exactly are those pieces that turn connectedness in the community into action. And we discovered that local leaders play a major role in this space. When we think of local leaders, we usually think of people who are officially elected by the community. They're paid to do this role, and they're paid to support the community members. And even though this can very much be the case, and we've heard about a lot of dedicated council members, we've also found out that local leaders can also be just any active members of the community. These local leaders are the ones that not only see the challenges, but they also take the initiative for action. And in this own turn, they inspire other members of the community to get involved. And also, they don't always see themselves as leaders rather than people who support others, which is the case of a local cooperative founder that we spoke to in Nelson.
Monica?
Yeah.
Do you differentiate between community councillors and town councillors, where town councillors are remunerated and community councillors are volunteers?
Yes, of course. Apologize for this. Basically, we just mean that somebody can be a local leader even though they're not in an official position to be this. So again, an example for this is a lady which we spoke to in Nelson. She is organizing a lot of activities in the community, and she didn't see herself as a local leader because she wasn't elected to be one. However, she saw her job as just being very much in the background, supporting people and inspiring them to get involved, to do the work in the community, and to be the best community members possible, really. And even though she didn't see herself as a leader, her role in this community is very much crucial, because without her being there, supporting them and inspiring them, all these volunteers wouldn't be doing the amazing work that they've been doing so far. Local leaders could also be individuals or groups that step up when crisis hits and take action, even if they never thought they could do this before. This was also the case of one of the people we spoke to in Neath, who was very badly affected by the floods at the beginning of the year in January. This person is somebody who described themselves as being very shy and reserved, and he also shared that he's never been involved in his community before. However, when the crisis hit, he found the skills and motivation within himself to step up and take a very lead role in the community in his street. He went not only from taking immediate actions into helping people deal with the aftermath of the floods, but also mobilize them to take preventive actions going forward, to ensure they prevent future disasters from happening. This was very inspiring to hear, that when needed, even though he was also one of the people that needed support, he didn't only think about himself and how he can get through this, but he stepped up, he organized everybody, and he kind of like formed this very active and resilient community that not only managed to support each other getting through this, but they also managed to take actions to prepare for anything that might come in the future as well.
Thanks, Monica. So also what we've noticed when we looked at the qualities and kind of skill set of these so-called local leaders, we've realized that one of their real strengths is they make it easy to help. We've noticed that sometimes people really do want to help, but maybe they don't know how or need to be shown methods in which they can get involved with to be able to support their local community. So for example, we spoke to a lady who runs a food truck in Neath, which supports the local homeless population. Now, we've heard from so many interviews that the homeless crisis in Neath is something that the entire community are aware of and is affecting the entire local community. But people didn't really have any solutions of how to resolve this other than like large top-down approaches. And when she was setting up this food van, she said she was initially nervous to do that in case it got backlash from people of setting this up in the town centre. But she said when people stumble upon the food truck, they actually end up coming over and offering £5 or £10 as almost in a way of saying thank you for their work. And when we looked at kind of why that might be more of the case, it was almost like people want to support, but they don't often know how, and they tell us of the challenges. And that was a way of saying, I can support and I can step in and offer my resources in this space. In this case, it was financial, to be able to keep the work going to support this community. So it was almost like a way in of saying, we're doing support and this is how you can help out. And people got involved in that way. But also, has my screen changed? I've just realized.
No.
No, sorry, I don't know why it's doing that. It's not working on mine either. There we go. We also spoke to a local area coordinator about the Street Champions and Community Champions scheme, and she said that I brought in a few people who live in the community and we made the Community Champions scheme, and within a few days we had 150 volunteers who were up for helping helping the people and their neighbours. Again, this was really, really interesting to us for a number of reasons. One, as Monica said, local leaders aren't always an individual. It could also be a group of people coming together with a common goal who want to inspire and mobilize. But the other thing is just the quantity of volunteers that mobilize in such a short time. We almost asked ourselves, like, okay, but 3 days ago, where were these people? And they didn't just suddenly start to want to help now, but now no one had given them that opportunity or that method of helping or seeing how they could help and offer their skills and resources in a way that was not only easy, but also empowered them to help improve their local community and the space that they could see the need to be in. And that was really fascinating to us to see how just that simple change of people do want to contribute, but it's not always clear how. And those local leaders are so important in turning that goal and that want to change into action.
One of the things that increased the take-up in that particular issue was the use of local social media. Because it was the local Facebook groups for the communities that actually put the call out for community champions and volunteers.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Martin. It's interesting as well, kind of what communication have community groups had before that, and how's that changed through this Facebook group versus other Facebook groups, and what caused this drive now as well, which is really interesting. And we know that people come together in a crisis. We've seen that time and time again, not just this year, but other years as well. Similar to last week, we kind of just wanted to say, leave it in the same way we did before, which is we've kind of had these insights and now where does that leave us moving forward? So what we want to do is we want to try and kind of pull together a couple of different personas within the community. So it's clear you've got everyone from local leaders, maybe even to people who getting involved in the community is not on their radar or something they want to get involved in, and the whole scale in between. So what are these different personas and what motivates people, these individuals, to support causes locally? We know the fundraising innovation team have done some amazing work in putting together personas related directly to the Red Cross. and we're going to try and work out how that relates to this particular piece of work, and are there any similarities, differences, and how can we work together to kind of understand those motivations better as we move forward in our work.
I think you'll find that some of the motivation with local Facebook groups is parochialism.
Interesting.
Because the local Facebook groups, they tend to hold an identity with the community as opposed to the local authority groups who are seen as more authoritarian and led by the local authority, whereas the local Facebook groups tend to be more parochial. And I think the call to action is galvanized by it being perceived as local to the community, as opposed to the town council being local to the town. And in my experience, Facebook round down here with our local groups is far more parochial than the approach through the local authority network.
That's really interesting, Martin.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, the calls that went out from the Neath Talbot County Borough Council are seen as more official and sort of smack of officialdom, whereas the calls that went out for local champions on the community Facebook groups are definitely more parochial, and the community take ownership of that before they take any ownership of the ones that put out by the local authority.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. We kind of wanted to also end this on this quote, which is that people, what it really stuck with us really, that people are self-motivated in the fact that they're building their own world, and that really like held on to the kind of why people, well, a potential motivation at least to kind of this.
And of course that does come back and link into parochialism, because there is ownership there, and that ownership doesn't exist when it's at a local authority level.
100%.
It does at a community level.
Absolutely. Wanda, I've just spotted your comment in the chat as well, which is about the community educators. This isn't something that we have worked with directly so far, partly because I didn't know as much about them, but it'd be really cool to hear more about where they are and where they're located, and if there are any in our region that we could maybe communicate with.
Yeah, so I've invited Grant Hoyle along, so he's a coordinator. So we've got 35 coordinators that go out into the community and build up those relationships with local community groups with the intention of giving them our training sessions at no cost to them. But we're at the process of going through identifying personas and our target, and I think there's so many places that we can work together. So I don't know if it's useful just for Grant just to explain a little bit more, a couple of minutes about what or not. But yeah. So.
Yeah, no, it definitely would be. I'm aware of time today just because we really want to keep it 15 minutes. But Grant and Wanda, maybe we put some time in to probably now after Christmas, just because of where we are in terms of timelines. But it'd be great to have those conversations and hear about kind of your learnings as well, and where we can share things both ways. Does anyone have any other comments before as well? Or even how you found this being 15 minutes versus being half an hour? Is it something that you've enjoyed? Would you like to go back to half an hour? It'd be great to hear from you guys as well. All good, radio silence. I take that as a positive, that it's been a good today. So yeah, in terms of what we've got after Christmas, we are going to be hiring for our other 2 roles. They are still live until Sunday, so if you would like the links for them, I can send them over to you as well. I'll add them into the reply after this with the video as well. And we're going to then be starting our research in our 3rd location, which will be really exciting, to be in Cornwall as well, and filling you in along the way, really. That's kind of what we've got coming up. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for coming today. Lovely to see so many familiar faces, and have a lovely Christmas, and I hope you're all getting a chance to turn off and recharge after a really bizarre year, and looking forward to seeing you all in the new year. Thanks so much.
Okay, stay safe, guys.
Thank you. Thanks.
Sorry I was late.
Thank you.